Okay, guys, let's get going. So the first thing I'd like you to do is please put your name in the top right corner. I'm going to put a 1 because it's period 1. Nico, can you please close your computer? Okay, so here's the deal, you guys. Do you guys know what the word poly means? So just this part. What does poly mean? Okay, what does mono mean? 1. What does bi mean? Any idea what poly means? Many, multiple, yeah. Many terms. Okay, so first thing we need to know is what is a term? A term is simply a grouping of numbers or variables. So in the top there, how many terms do we have? How many groups do we have that are separated by a plus or a minus? Yeah, 1, 2, 3 terms. How many terms in the denominator? 2. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is GCF. Do you guys remember what GCF stands for? Good. If you know, you don't have to write it down. If you don't remember. Okay, so we're going to factor out the numerator. Under here, please write a fat x because we're going to be using the x method to factor. It's going to be a and c in the bottom and b in the top. Cassandra, what number is going to go in the top? -9. Obed, what's going to go in the bottom? 14, yep. Daniel V, can you tell me 2 things that multiply to 14? 7 and 2. Not Alejandro. Corian, can you tell me what signs these need to be so that they multiply to a positive and add to a negative? Negative on the 2? Negative on both of them. Positive. And then if they're the same signs, we add them. Nico, do you remember what we do once we have our factors? Do you remember what we need to do?
X minus 7 and x plus minus 2.
Good. Anybody know what we need to put on the denominator? Yeah. Notice that I'm putting it in parentheses. You don't have to, but I find that it really helps. This part I just want you to watch because I'm going to do it wrong on purpose and then I'm going to fix it. Okay? So I'm going to do it wrong in highlighter and then I'll fix it with pen. I do not want to see this. I also don't want to see this. What I want to see is the entire group has to be crossed out. So I want to see one line through that whole group and another line through that whole group. That's what it needs to be because you're crossing out this whole group with that whole group. You're not crossing out pieces of it. You're crossing out that entire grouping. Go ahead and cross that out now on your paper. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to restrict the domain. Please make a note for yourself. We're going to say the denominator cannot equal 0. Basically, you're never allowed to divide by 0. Whenever you divide by 0, it gives you an undefined answer. It blows up. So all we're going to do is we're going to take this denominator right here, and we're going to say that it's not allowed, sorry, I wrote it wrong. X minus 2 is not allowed to be 0. So then, how do we get that x by itself? What do we do? Yeah, just plus 2. X is not allowed to be 2. So our final answer, we're going to write down what was left, guys. What was left when we crossed these out? What was still left? X minus 7, yeah. So X minus 7 is the equation, and the domain is X is not allowed to be 2. Now I'm going to show you real quick. Okay. Are you guys okay that I already have this equation in there, which is the original equation? And it looks like a line. Now if I trace this and I tell it to go to 2, do you see how it's telling me it's undefined there? That's because if you were going to graph this, the y-intercept, sorry, I just did that wrong. The y-intercept would be negative 7. And if you went to 2, there would actually be a hole in the line. It'd be like solid, 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 skip a little hole, and then keep going. That's the only place that it's not defined. So then to see if our answer is right, all we're going to do is we're going to graph it, and it should trace exactly over this line. Okay, so I'm going to press enter. When I press enter, it's going to make this bolder and then kind of disappear because it's red. So if I press enter, oh, let me go back. I have to tell it to graph that. See how it crossed right over the top? So if I, can you see how that just goes right over exactly the top? Okay, it should be the same. The only thing that's different is on the red one. I'm allowed to trace it. Like I can get an actual number on there, which is why we tell it the restricted domain so that it's the same. That you're not allowed to use 2. Okay, you guys ready for the next ones? Okay, draw a line close to this 10 because you're going to need space for both of those. Let's go ahead and set this up. Daniel V, what goes in the top? Good. Nico, what's going to go in the bottom?
1?
No.
3 and 7?
Yeah, 3 times 7. You guys, what numbers could multiply to 3 times 7? What's 3 times 7? 21. Do I need to actually know what that number is? No. It's helpful, but you don't actually need it. We need numbers that multiply to 21 and add to 10. What multiplies? Yeah, just 3 and 7. Okay, so then we would just set up r plus 3, r plus 7.
R plus 1 at the bottom?
Yeah, except for, so this is a common mistake right here. I'm gonna leave a little space right there on purpose because we're gonna be making a mistake. Do you guys see how this doesn't cross out with any of those? That should be a click to you guys. I'm only gonna give you problems that cross out. Okay? Remember how we multiplied by that 3? We've got to divide by that 3. Do you guys remember that? That's why we're reviewing. Okay, and that 3 doesn't go in nice. So what are we going to do with it? If it doesn't go in nice, what do we do? Put it in front. You guys, what's 3 divided by 3?
1.
What can cross out?
R plus 1.
Make sure you cross out a line through the whole group. My final answer is going to be 3r plus 7. And what's my restricted domain? Sorry. R cannot be what? What if I plug, what number if I plug it in will give me 0? Am I going to need to add or subtract? Subtract how many? 1. You guys see that? Okay. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. Okay, we're going to take this. What can I GCF out of every single term? What can I take out of every number? 10. Good. Acorian, do you know how to tell what's left after we take the 10 out? What would this term become? Yeah, just x squared. What would the next one be? Negative 4x, yeah. And then what would the last one be? Good. Now these are the numbers we're going to use to factor. Obaid, can you set up the x? What goes in the top? Good. What goes in the bottom? What? 3? Yeah. Because the number in front right here is like a 1. Okay. So that we GCF to make it smaller numbers. Daniel V, do you think you can find those numbers? Those are my only options because this is prime. What do the signs need to be, you guys? They both need to be negative because a negative times a negative is a negative plus a negative is a negative. Yeah, perfect. So they multiply to a positive and then they still add there. X minus 1, x minus 3. What's the denominator? What's the denominator of our fraction, y'all? Yeah, x minus 3. What can we cross out? Now today so there's about 10 different levels to dividing polynomials. Today we are doing the easiest level where it's going to be perfect to cross out. There's no leftovers. Does that make sense? So here, what we're going to do is we're going to write down what we have left. That's supposed to be an x. My brain is done. The 10 is right there because we GCF'd it out. Right? Remember we factored it out? So we're going to just go ahead and distribute. My brain is a little bit done today, and by a little bit done, I mean holy Lanta is it done. Okay, so our final answer is going to be 10x minus 10. Now what is x not allowed to be? 3. Now the reason that I picked this concept to go over next, there's like 10,000 things I could have picked. The reason I picked this next is because how many of you are planning to go to college like TSTC, MCC, or something like that? Are you planning on going to college or university when you graduate? Yeah. They make you take an entrance test to get a placement on where you are math-wise before they let you take their courses. If you score too low, they make you take remedial classes, which doesn't help you get your degree, but they won't let you take the classes you need for your degree until your math gets up to scratch. This is one of the main concepts that they test on all math tests. The restricted domain is a huge piece of it, and being able to factor and reduce is a big thing. Make sense? So I want to hit the concepts that you're most likely to see. All right, go ahead and open this up. Okay. Now on these ones, I'm going to let you guys try them on your own, but please, before you get started on your own, I'm going to check in with you. But please draw a box for the answers over here under each one so that it's easy for me to come around and check if you're getting it right and if you've completed today's work, okay? So I'm going to give you a little head start on this so that you can try it on your own and see if you're ready to do this on your own, and then we'll go over it in a moment. I'm going to just get the first step started of setting up the x. What? You think you got it? How could you check yourself? Yeah. Were you guys able to get to this step? Did you get the negative on the 4 and the positive on the 3? It matters which one's positive and negative. And then just remember to divide by the 4 because we multiplied by the 4. cross out what's the same. Are you guys able to get there? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Aquarian? All right. On this one, I'm going to take out a 2. Is that okay with you guys? I'm going to take out a 2. Now you guys go ahead and try that one, okay? Okay. Were you able to set this up?
You got 27 on the top.
Do you know what goes on the bottom?
8 and 7, only 4 and 7.
Yeah, 4 times -7, which is -28. Sometimes this number helps and sometimes this number doesn't. I think in this case it helps. How far away is 28 from 27? So why don't we try 1 and 28? Which one needs to be negative? The 1, perfect. Are you guys okay that that would multiply to -28 and add to 27? Okay, if I pause there, do you guys want to try? Finish it? I'm just going to quietly do it if you want to check if you're getting it right. The step you're most likely to mess up is dividing by the 4.
Do we distribute the 2 after them?
Yeah, you will. Okay, because that 2 we took out is still there. And then we have n can't equal 7. That's it. Bet you can figure that one out. Can I show you a little secret? I don't know if it's going to help you at all. But how I figure out the numbers. Okay, this is easy enough. But how I figure out what this is going to be is I actually work backwards in my head, right? So I know that we're going to have factors and I'm going to have to divide by 2 to get an x minus 10. I know I'm going to get an x minus 10, right?
How do you do 150?
What's 2 times 50? Oh, you're right. It should be 100. Okay, so I just multiplied these two numbers. 2 times 10, -20. -20 times what is 100?
5.
Are you okay that those also add to -15? Do you see how I kind of cheated there? Are you guys okay with the setup? And then go ahead and cross out what's the same. X cannot be 10. That's it. Easy enough? Okay. Go ahead and flip to the next page, the last page. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now that 53 is prime, so you can't factor anything out of that, okay? You're going to be stuck with the -53 on the top. You're going to have 150 on the bottom. Now remember, what's our secret trick? Multiply those two numbers. What's 10 times -5? -50. So what does the other number need to be? Make it, yeah, -3, right? Because that would add to a -53 and multiply to there. I'm going to pause and let you try that, okay? Okay, so you should have x minus 50 and x minus 3. And the thing you got to remember is to divide by that 10. Now let's say I forgot to divide by that 10 and I got to that step. Can you guys see that nothing crosses out? That should be a big hint that you forgot to do your division. So we got an x minus 5, 10x minus 3, because if it doesn't fit, if it doesn't reduce, we go ahead and put it in front. 10x minus 3. X can't equal what, guys? Yeah, just 5, right? Easy cheese. Are you guys ready to go over this one with the negative 70, or do you need a minute? Give you a minute to try? I just don't know if I'm going to knock this out as soon as I figure out how to make my, there we go. Okay, so I did my little secret trick of 9 times negative 8 to do negative 72. So I knew that that was going to be needing to be 2. These multiply to negative 144. They add to negative 70. We're good to go. So then I have x minus 72, x plus 2. Now to be honest with you, the first time I did this, I forgot and I had x minus 8 and I was like, nothing crosses out. And that's when I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to divide by 9. So then I had x minus 8, 9x plus 2, x minus 8, cross them out, you're good to go. So I just have 9x plus 2, and x cannot be 8. Now for the next one, I don't have to do any math to know what the n cannot be. What can n not be? 3. Good. I'm going to scroll back down just a little bit so that if you're still working on this one, you can see it. I'm going to go ahead and GCF out. Now, obviously, these are the same number, so that's going to be nice. But 6 can only multiply, the only factors of 6 is 2 and 3. But I know I can't take a 2 out of those, so I'm going to take a 3 out of every single group. So if I put a 3 out front, I'm going to have a 2n squared. 27 divided by 3 would be 9. Don't forget the n. And then we're going to go ahead and set up our x. Were you guys okay at figuring out that this was going to be 3 and 6? They're both negative. Then you would have n minus 3, n minus 6, n minus 3. Okay, now this one's a little bit tricky. Do you guys see the problem? What did I forget to do? I forgot to divide, but do you see how those are still going to cross out? That's actually going to get me the wrong answer. You've got to remember to divide by, 2, because I multiplied by 2. Do you see how if I did it this way, I would have gotten n minus 6 as my answer, but the actual answer is 2n minus 3? It's a little trick. Now the only thing is, guys, what did I forget to write down? What did I factor out at the beginning? A 3, but yeah. This is fine. They also can write it as 6n minus 9. All of those are right. All right, guys, go ahead and try your assignment on CUDA. Make sure you're working your journal and upload the work. I'm looking for the process